Thank you for letting us in your clinic, your garage, your dining room, your living room. It's a pleasure to have you guys with us. It's Ettore Palmeri. My name is Ettore Palmeri. I'm the president of Palmeri Media Group, and we're the organizer of this event. It's a 1-hour free lecture sponsored by Vita. And I also hope at the same time that you guys are staying safe. It's been now, what, 9 months that we face this COVID pandemic. And I hope you're staying strong and staying resilient, okay? A little bit of due diligence before we turn it over to Marc. There's always a little bit of due diligence. I will mute everybody if you're not muted already, and I will turn your video off, okay? A video off. You will receive a certificate of attendance and the program will be recorded, okay? At about 10 minutes before the end of the hour, I will send through the chat at the bottom, you can see chat. I will send you a note saying, are there any questions for Marc, okay? And then at that time, I will look at, and I will moderate the questions. If there are too many questions, what we're gonna do is Marc will answer the question. He can either stay on or he will address to you guys, you know, via email at a later date and answer all your questions. And we have many of the Vita people joining tonight too, so I'm sure they will get to you. Keep in mind that we have people. I was telling Marc, we have people from all over: New Mexico, Georgia, Kentucky, Florida. You know, and we got to address. There's a couple people, Marc, they are saying, is there a problem with Zoom because they're not letting them in? So I will address this once I introduce you and you will start. Okay.
Well, that makes sense. That's probably why we're capped right now.
That's right. So they must be having an issue, but I think Bahar went upstairs and see to reach them from another computer. Anyways, the topic tonight is making your shift in denture teeth to Vita. You know, and we know that, you know, like how tooth forms influences the final results in aesthetic, functions, and fit, and also how choosing the right mold can, you know, meet patients' expectations, save money by reducing labor, setup time, reducing post time, etc., and having greater profitability, which is so important and all the time, but especially during COVID. So I'm gonna turn it over to Marc because he's gonna touch on these topics that I have mentioned. But I will do a brief introduction because he has a very extensive bio. So I will just touch on a few salient points. He's a Vita global trainer, okay? He's been 33 years in the business now. He's a specialist, a field of oral biology, pathology of various systems consisting in the oral apparatus, including prosthetics, which function within the oral cavity. He loves what he does. I mean, you will see once he starts, if you've never seen him before, I mean, he's very well known, but once he starts, you know, he loves what he does. This is evident in his approach to teaching, okay? And the passion he has for dentures and the patients and for the patients that he cares. So I'm gonna leave it at that, okay, Marc? You can add, delete, subtract, but I'm going to turn it over to you because we have 1 hour. It's going to be an exciting 1 hour, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, like the Wagenseil shuffle or jiggle or wiggle. Anyways, Marc, the numbers are coming in again because, okay, they're unloaded. They opened it up and it's all yours, Marc. Thank you very much to you and to Vita.
Thanks, Ettore. I appreciate those kind words and rather embarrassing bio. Hi, everybody. Woot, woot. We do not slap teeth together. No, we do not. We build dentures. We rehabilitate the chewing cycle, and it's a big deal. We look after our patients, and it's a noble journey that we're on, regardless of whether a technician on the bench or a direct healthcare provider. Common issues that we face: denture teeth chipping, breaking, popping off. Can't chew well with a new denture. Marc, my old denture works better than the new one you made. Boy, have I heard that a lot at the beginning part of my career, and I'd bang my head on the wall trying to figure out what's going on because I did what the textbook told me to do. We hear that a lot. The new dentures are looser than the old set. They can't eat. The patient comments that they're having trouble eating. It's come in multiple relines with no successes, and especially from a lab ending. This is the second time we've relined this in 2 months with a little sad emoji to make it even better. So food collects under the denture, but you don't need to reline it. So we look at it clinically and the denture fits the gum, yet the patient is saying food gets under it all the time and it doesn't need the reline, but we reline it anyway, thinking that that's going to help. And the new denture feels too big. And of course, soreness. These are common issues that we face with building dentures. And especially now with implants, we hear patients saying that the implant denture, the temporary implant denture, is preferred over the permanent one. Now that's frustrating. So there's reasons for this. So welcome. We're going to have a little bit of a journey. These issues cause us stress. And my dear colleagues, we certainly have and are bombarded with enough of that right now. So welcome. My name is Marc Wagenseil. I'm a denturist and a dental technician. I carry 2 licenses here in the province of Alberta, Canada. And I am now 51 years old. I started caring for patients when I was 17. It's been now 34 years of my life, and I love what I do. It's been a journey, and it's still ongoing, but I can say that it's the right profession for me, caring and doing what I'm doing for a denture perspective. I love it, and I want to impart with you over the course of the next hour about my journey and about denture teeth. Because again, we don't slap teeth together, and the type of teeth you choose really matters. So Charles Darwin stated, it's not the strongest of a species which will survive, nor is it the smartest, it's the one most adapt to change. And certainly we've been really changing a lot this year, but now we're here looking at changing our denture teeth, and that's been thrust upon us. Change is seen as a threat. This is hard for you because you're not able to get in the teeth that you know and are comfortable with. And now you're faced with change and you're wondering, how do I change? What should I use? What's out there? I want to be clear. Price is not the deciding factor here. And I need to just ask for your open mind. Just don't go on price. There's a lot to it. So let's talk a little bit about Vita denture teeth as I weave this all together now. So I ask for your patience and bear with me as I weave this together. Vita teeth are like, say, General Motors. They build cars, but they have different kinds of cars. While Vita builds and makes denture teeth, they have different kinds. So there's Vita Pan, that's from the 50s design theory and from that type of design and era. There's Vita Pan Plus, so it was a tooth line that came out in the 2000s. It was a more updated design. There was a little bit of a shift of thinking in denture teeth construction in Germany, and a lot of the manufacturing companies in Germany and in Europe started to produce a much more robust denture tooth that had a lot more anatomy on it, and we were certainly all taken aback by it. Vita also makes MFT, so it's a premium tooth at an economy price. It also came out in the 2000s. PhysioDens, which is an anatomical design. It's a centric load tooth, and Vita Pan Excel. So it's was released in around 2017-ish, and that's our current trending design and shade philosophy and what the company is modeling itself after now. So we don't use phones. We don't use phones from 1950, and we didn't drive in a car from 1950. And so why are we using denture teeth designed from 1950? Good question. So posterior teeth, cuspy forms, also it's more of a 20-degree design from that era. Cuneiform, which is a flatter design, so more of a 10-degree tooth. PhysioDens, which was a centric tooth design and centric tooth concept design from the late 90s, and Lingoform, which is again now the current trending lingualized occlusion, and it can be set alternatively, which means I can set it in different ways, not just lingualized occlusion, but actually in variations of it. So this is kind of the platform from Vita. So like, as I said, GM has different kinds of cars. Vita has different kinds of teeth. The company, of course, focuses on Excel and lingo form and focuses on those two brands as it moves forward in the future and on this design. They're all following the square tapering ovoid selection criteria. So it's much like you're used to and have been used to with your previous teeth that you've been using. It's still a square tapering ovoid, so you're still going to look for that. And they're just now different design numbers. So instead of picking up, you know, your 12 Edith and 42 Fred, you will be picking up different teeth now with a different number. So remember, you have to give yourself time to adapt to change. Change takes time. We tell our patients it takes 90 days to adapt to a denture, so it takes you 90 days to get used to new teeth and how to work with them. Vita teeth, all of them except MFT are made from MRP, micro-reinforced polyacrylic. It's 85% polymethylmethacrylate, 14% filler, and 1% shade. So what's the filler? The filler is silica. Silica by definition is quartz, by definition is glass. So this is an acrylic glass tooth. So you're going to find that in VitaPan, you're going to find that in Visiodens, you're going to find that in Lingoform, you're going to find that in Excel and VitaPan Plus. All those lines are made from acrylic glass. MFT is not, it is made from acrylic. There is no glass in it. So you're going to say, whoop-de-doo, Mark. Why? What's the big deal about glass? Well, number one, glass is hard, so it's got strength. And the other really important thing here is that when you grind acrylic to do any occlusal adjustments, whether you're doing a chairside or in the lab, you are supposed to and should be polishing the teeth after. You don't need to do that with acrylic glass because it self-polishes. It's awesome and it's good and it doesn't abrade. It actually wears and is polishing itself as it wears. So it's acrylic glass. Now the kicker with it is you have to be careful when you flame it. You don't want to burn it, so it has a lower temperature. So if you're using a torch or a flamer, you have to be careful that you don't overheat the material when you're flaming because it will damage.
Can you?
Okay, and it will cause damage. Okay, so the teeth also have opalescence. It is something that certainly only a few manufacturers do. What's opalescence? Is example the scales of a fish. Natural teeth, Vita has it. They actually grind opal into their teeth to mimic that beautiful picture that you see on the screen of enamel. It has opalescence. And it also has fluorescence. So when you put teeth under black light, and fluorescence is caused from phosphorus. And our enamel has phosphorus in it, our bones have phosphorus in it. So Vita teeth put phosphorus in it as well. And you can see this is an example of Vita teeth on the left side. So the left 3 teeth are Vita where they are glowing, and the 3 on the right are Dentsply where they don't have phosphorus in it, and they don't. So you're going to say, well, Mark, big deal. And I'm going to say, well, natural teeth have phosphorus in it. And what that does is that gives them a sense of vitality and life under different light. Because correct, we don't all go to the nightclubs anymore. I kind of, as I said, I'm 51, so I don't do that so much anymore at all. But back in the day when the nightclubs and you had the black light, yes, but we don't always are on black light, but fluorescent lighting, natural lighting, all triggers the fluorescence and the phosphorus in teeth. And so Vita has that in their product as well. So you're going to say, okay, so bear with me. I'm going to wrap up the phosphorus and the aesthetics end of it. It also, Vita teeth have the magic triangle for aesthetics. And this is more so in their later lines in the 2000s. So the Visiodens, the VitaPan Pluses, and now the Excel, is they have something that's called golden proportion, which means everything's related to each other. So the width is related to the height, which is related to the length. And it's all golden proportioned. So much like Michelangelo's David or the pyramids, the Mona Lisa, everything has golden proportions in it. So I hate to tell you, but everything relates back to math. So I should have paid more attention in math 30, but hey, here I am trying to figure it out, but everything's golden proportion. And Vita teeth now are golden proportion, especially now they're later lines. And that's where we've been trending, where denture teeth are a little bit more robust. They're a little bit larger. They have a little bit more integrity to them because we're making them more golden proportions than we did back in the 50s. So that's the comment here, is that we mimicked more out of natural teeth. So natural teeth on your left. And that's why now you see that the cervical dimension, everything is a little bit more based on natural design and golden proportioned like a natural tooth. So be patient with me because I'll have a few things to show you as we move on, but it's golden proportioned. Now, this is where I'm going to wrap it up. So you say, well, okay, fine and dandy, but what does the patient want? Well, in 30-odd years of treating people, patients will say, one, I don't want it to look like a denture. And then I always ask them, yeah, but what does that look like? What do you mean a denture? Well, Mark, you know, I wear teeth, but nobody knows I'm wearing them. Okay, so what does that mean to you? And now all of your patients can have a slightly different comment or perception of this. But what does a patient want? Number one, they don't want it to scream denture. They don't want it to scream fake. So how do you stop that? Well, you stop it from it being monotone. So what does that mean? Monotone in color and shade and design. Number one, Vita teeth are not mirror opposites of each other. Each tooth, although they belong to the same set, are not perfectly mirror opposites of each other. That's a dead giveaway. Patients, and that's why we got used to tipping teeth and turning things a little bit with other tooth brands, because the other tooth brands, and especially the designs from the 1950s, are all mirror opposites of each other, because that's how we designed teeth back then. And now we don't. So it's monotone that will scream a denture. It's too perfect, too fake. And it's not just that you set them straight and side by side. No, that's not what I mean by perfect. It's the tooth itself is monotone in color like a chiclet, and it's the same. A patient doesn't want that. They want a little bit of uniqueness, and uniqueness just doesn't come from twisting a canine or twisting a central a little bit and for flaring it. Yes, that's character, but it also has to be how the light hits the teeth, how the light absorbs into the tooth, what's reflected back, and also from the perception of the teeth themselves, so it's not all monotone. And the higher and the later designs from Vita are not monotone. The other thing that's important when you ask what does a patient want, they want the thing to fit and they want to eat. And I'm telling you, in my career now, what do I notice is function will trump aesthetics. They will let aesthetics go a little bit if it functions and fixes the function. They'll tolerate maybe a little bit of a less of a look that they were thinking they could have, because they need to eat. At the end of the day, food is life. You got to eat, and by golly, we eat. On special occasions, everything that we do all revolves around food. And so you need to eat. And our goal is to help a patient eat. Our goal is that they can go to a buffet and eat and not go, oh, well, there's mashed potatoes and gravy, and oh, that looks soft. Most senior citizens are malnourished because they just can't eat their food that well, and they're embarrassed in front of their family. And it's awe-striking to me and gobsmacking when they tell me this. You know, Mark, I used to be embarrassed and I'd have to wash my teeth out. And I had a patient even last week break down in tears and say to me, Mark, it's so destructive to not be able to eat and not look forward to having to eat. It's almost like anyone that has insomnia. You hate going to bed because you think, oh, here we go again. I'm not going to sleep. And now they're thinking, here I go again. I got to eat. But now it's problematic to them. It affects their life and their well-being. And what we do matters. So what does a patient want? They don't want monotone, and it's got to function. So Vita teeth has something that's called Freedom and Centric. And these are the newer designs from the 2000s. This is the flat area in the central fossa on which the opposing cusps come into contact, which permits a degree of freedom in eccentric movements uninfluenced by tooth inclines. So that's the legal mumbo jumbo and the medical mumbo jumbo of what's freedom and centric. Well, let's chat about what is that. So everyone touch your teeth together in centric, in light centric, and now wiggle them around a little bit. Don't go eccentric, just stay in centric and wiggle. Give me a wiggle. Don't go full eccentric, just stay in centric. In light contact, you can wiggle. That means you've got a little bit of freedom in your teeth. Everyone, I'm now introducing you to what's known as the Wagenseil wiggle. So this is freedom, and freedom is good. Freedom is good. Do you know that most denture teeth on the market, most posterior denture teeth on the market, they sit together in centric. Yes, they work in balance, but they are locked in centric. There's no wiggle room. It goes right up into the incline and right into working and balancing contact. There's no freedom there at all. There's only a handful of denture teeth on the planet that have freedom and centric in them, and Vita's one of them. And you're going to say, what's the big deal? Well, number one, you have it. You have freedom and centric. So I've established with you that you've got a little bit of freedom. So there's your wiggle. So why is that important? Well, you're asking somebody to pinpoint land centric. And if they don't, they hit the guiding plane of the tooth and they slide into position. The hit and slide is the damage. The red arrows are the damage. So you are asking a senior citizen who is older than we are, by most cases, will have on will be on medications, have a degraded central nervous system, can't have the same muscle tone and neurotone as they did. And you were asking them to pinpoint centric every time they touch. You know that's impossible, right? So what does that mean is you're asking them to land in the center of a tooth each time because there's no freedom in centric. So what does that mean? Then you have the arrows and it rocks on the tooth, and the hit and slide causes the damage because the hit and slide starts to cause the rock, and the rock starts to lift the teeth and it lets in the gap and food goes under the plate. The hit and slide also causes friction because now the denture is sliding. And what happens, friction causes heat. Heat causes the sore, and heat causes the sore on the denture. So this is something that's been very poignant in my professional career, is identifying freedom and centric and identifying that you cannot ask a patient to pinpoint land centric every time. It's impossible, especially a senior citizen. Yet we do. And then we accept the fallout from it. Well, the denture tips, the denture moves, the teeth chip, because it's the hit and slide. You have to give them a little bit of a zone to land in. So what does that look like? Well, on denture teeth, this is what it looks like. It's the ability for the denture to wiggle. The cusp wiggles in the fossa. You've got a little bit of freedom. This is important. And how many denture teeth have this globally? Not many. And I'll tell you who they have. Vita, but not all of them. The later lines from the 2000s. So Excel, Physiodens, MFT, Lingoform. They have that. Ivoclar, but not all of it. The Finaris line has it. Mertz Dental, Artegral, but not all of it. There's only a few lines that carry this because it's more trending. It was more 2000s thinking that they were doing it. And again, it's not 1950s anymore. You have to allow a person a little bit of a platform to land in and a little bit of freedom, because it's the hit and slide that causes the damage. So I want to just show you, I want to show you this video. This is about natural chewing and natural chew cycle. So it's a picture and a video of people chewing an apple and a carrot and bubble gum. Take a look at the teeth. You don't chew up and down. We check on an articulator and we check centric like this. Understand that when a patient closes into centric, they're coming in at an angle. Look at the angle of the chew. They're coming in and they land and they have a little bit of freedom. You actually can see a little bit of wiggle in there. So it's not a hit and slide, and especially in a denture, a hit and slide that causes the damage. You have to keep in mind, every one of these teeth has a nerve. That nerve goes to their central nervous system. Your brain knows where each and every tooth is three-dimensionally. And there's always feedback going to your brain, so you know. A denture patient doesn't have that. They've lost that nerve. That nerve's been cut. So now you're asking a senior citizen who cannot feel their teeth to pinpoint land centric. And how are they going to do that? It's muscle memory for one, and two, it's compression on the gums so they know. So you can see as the person's chewing, everything's chewing in a cycle. It functions in a cycle. And there's no hit and slide. Now you see the difference? This cycle is more vertical. So this patient has a more vertical chew cycle. This is what's going to get you out of the weeds on those cases that are driving you nuts, because we all have them. It's identify the patient's chew cycle and then set the teeth within that chew cycle. You have to figure out what their chew cycle is. So that takes a while to learn. There's tips that I can give you and tips that we can provide you. And that's coming on future courses. So Bugatory and Bug Vita. But today is about Vita teeth. So Vita teeth are golden proportioned and they function, which means that they can function and they have that freedom so they don't hit and slide into position. Working and balancing theory from the 50s was thinking if I worked and balanced it, it wouldn't tip the plate. What they forgot about though is you were trying to have someone always land in centric accurately, and they didn't allow any freedom, like the new trend is, to allow a little bit of a box so that they have a little bit of space to land in so there's not that hit and slide. Do you know that the average adjustment rate for dentures globally is 2 to 5 times on an upper and lower denture? So that means your doctor is expecting, or that denturist is expecting the patient to come back 2 to 5 times. Well, what does that mean now in a pandemic? More than ever. Most adjustments are at least 20 to 30 minutes in length. In my office, we've added approximately about 10 to 15 minutes extra per patient to deal with COVID. That means the paperwork, the temperature check, the mouth rinse that we have to do in Alberta. We have to do a hydrogen peroxide mouth rinse, the pre-assessment. My secretary is tired at the end of the day because it takes her much longer to book appointments. When I talk to other professionals and other denturists, it's common that we see this, that your front end staff are really feeling this because there's more for them to do. And then they have to accept the patient and go through the protocol to let them in your office so we can all continue to practice and have that high level of infection control. If you let that patient in 2 to 5 times after you've built the denture, you've lost how much time? Even with myself, if I added 15 minutes on per patient for COVID, now that's on 4 patients. That's 1 hour I've lost every day. If I have to do an adjustment for 4 people, I've lost an hour out of my day. So I either have to work longer, but let's face it, we're all stressed out and tired because it's hard for us clinically because we have to be diligent every minute of every day in there so that we don't infect somebody because the government's trusting us. And that's our professional ethics and as well to not harm a patient. So as a dental technician, your doctor is faced with those same problems. If we can cut down their adjustment rate, you are having a senior come in less to the office, which is better because right now they shouldn't be out and about as much. So you take them into the office less, and then I have less adjustments coming in. It's more efficient for me now more than ever. Efficiency matters. So let's do the math. Say, for example, your denture, your fee is $2,600. Say, for example, the lab fee is about $700. You're left with a subtotal of $1,900 of profit for the office. If the overhead of the office is 75%, so overhead's rent, electricity, lights, water, wages, materials, all that stuff, that leaves the office a profit of $475. Now, dentist's office will run at a higher overhead because usually their overhead's running about 80 to 90%, give or take. So now that number is even lower. 2 adjustments just left a profit of $275. If you're averaging about $200 an hour for the practitioner. And it's actually less if you consider the room cleanup because now we're even more diligent on leaving the rooms clean. And even in some provinces, you have to let the room sit for 15 minutes and let the air stabilize. So now you have to appreciate this matters. The less they come in, the better, the more money you make. Because you have to appreciate after 4 adjustments, the office has only made $75. So can I have a collective from everybody? And I even translated that into American for our American folks. So can you stay in business at $75 profit for very long? This is also about bringing in the patient less, having the denture fit better. One adjustment at 30 minutes a day is 2.5 hours a week. That's 10 hours a month, you guys. That's a lot that the denturist or dentist works for free. So as a lab tech, you can help and support your doctors and become much more of a benefit of them if you can help reduce their adjustment rate. And as the denturist watching this, also you cut your adjustment rate. You have less patients coming in on adjustments. You're more profitable. Count it up. Ask the dentist what their adjustment rate is and say, listen, we're going to change tooth lines. We're going to start doing this freedom thing. And what's going to happen is you're going to stop your adjustment rate. I hear back now from practitioners that have taken freedom courses and we've nailed down their adjustment rate and we've cut it. And they are much more happier, and you're happier in your profession, and you're not going to deal with all those things that come back on all the stress, whether you're a denturist or whether you're a lab tech. This is about being happier professionally as well. Remember, one missed dental appointment takes 2 to 3 more to recoup the cost. This also applies to a denture adjustment. You're not making money in a denture adjustment. So now how many more appointments does it take for you to recoup that lost time? This is a big deal. So freedom and centric. Posterior teeth reduces denture dislodgement, reduces the friction and the sores because there's less hit and slide. Count up your adjustment rate. You want to do some marketing to your doctors? You say, what's your adjustment rate? We're switching teeth. I'm going to help you cut that, and we're going to save you this much money. They're going to be loyal to your lab. This is about the denturists out there. You can even reduce one adjustment a day. That's what, 30 minutes? Hello, you have a lunch hour now, and you can actually eat. Because most of us are usually, you fit things in during the day. We're not eating, and you're eating like this. It's not healthy. Do that for 5 and 10 years in a row. It wears you down. Freedom provides superior fit, less need for soft liners, saves the practitioner time and money, and provides results. And that's one of the reasons why we see that patients are preferring the temporary implant denture on an all-on-4, for example, than the permanent one. Because usually the temporary ones have flat teeth on them because the surgeon didn't want any horizontal draw. And the trouble is you've changed that person's chew cycle. So when you put cusp teeth on them, when you rehabilitate that case after a year, and they run into all the problems because that's what's happened. If you give them cusp teeth right away, but you give them freedom, you're not putting that horizontal draw on that implant, yet you're not buggering their chew cycle, and they're going to be able to eat. It reduces damage, and that's important as well. Professional happiness and freedom and centric. So in 2019, the World Health Organization listed burnout as a disease. And burnout is associated with loss of interest in your profession. You're tired, you can't get motivated, it's tougher to go to the office, and you get cranky quicker because you're dealing with all of the repetitive problems. Repetitive problems because of a locked-in bite. So now if you apply freedom and centric posteriorly, it's not only a benefit to your patient, but to you as well. So I'm asking you to try Vita. What has it done for me in my profession and in my career is it's reduced all of these things, all of the problems. It's more consistent for me, and I have less adjustments. So it actually, the type of teeth you use really matters. Just don't go on cost.
I mentioned there that
Cost is not the end for you. It's not the end. You have to think of it. Where does your practitioner, where does your doctor make their money? In the patient chair. Where does the denturist make the money? In the patient chair. Where do you lose the money? In the patient chair. So if you can do a better job and build that denture for that patient better so that it's non-monotone in color, it has some character to them so they don't think it's a denture, and now the thing functions and lets them chew. Less damage, less adjustments in, and that's the benefit to Vita and the benefit for me. So Vita and Atori, thanks Atori, they want to support our professions, and I'm thankful to them and the patient that places their trust in you. So these are the Vita sales reps. If you want to take a picture with your camera, so these are the reps in Canada and in the US that you can contact. And in a moment, I'm going to flip screens and I'm going to go to a document camera and I'm going to show you a couple things about the teeth. So take a quick picture here and I'll put my contact information up at the end as well. And you can contact me for any of the technical questions that you have. But these are all the Vita reps in North America, and they're waiting and anxious to help you because at the end of the day, you guys, we've been called to this profession to help people and help people with their teeth. That's what gets us going every day, and why we're here is dentures are awesome and we love them and we like doing them and everyone thinks we're crazy, but we have a really tough job because we have to build something that fits in the mouth on soft tissue and the patient can't feel it and there's no direct nerve to it. It's an awesome responsibility and an awesome job and one that we love. Okay, so those are your reps. I'll come back to that in a moment, so bear with me. Okay, and now we are going to share the screen. We're going to go over here, and now I am going to show you, dun dun dun, the document camera. So we're going to turn this so you can still see me. All right, so lower molar, upper molar. So most denture teeth on the planet are locked together. There's no wiggle room. So when the patient was trying to chew, it would hit and slide into position. And you could see that in the video of the people chewing. And this was our problem with our thinking back in the 50s when we designed denture teeth. This doesn't work. There needs to be that degree of freedom. As they go through a chew cycle, they're able to come in, land into centric. The biggest part is this cusp has to touch this fossa, but you don't want to hit and slide on the guiding planes. And that's where the problem lies. Whereas in traditional thinking of 20-degree teeth, we wanted contact there and we thought we were helping someone. This is where I banged my head on the wall for all those years going, why is this working? It's not working. Till I realized it was the hit and slide that was causing the problem. You need that degree of freedom in the teeth so that there's some wiggle room so that they're able to land in I call it a helicopter pad. They're able to land in a zone, okay? And there's the zone here that permits them to land so that it's not a hit and slide. So that's really important when you start to understand how patients eat. And then you have to remember that we're dealing mostly with senior citizens that have degraded muscles and neurotone, and they can't reproduce this as accurately as what we did on an articulator in the lab. And that's where problems lie as well. So these are the teeth.
That's no problem going last. I'm here till 9 o'clock regardless.
Next, we have,
Can I go early now?
and I'm going to show you this, and we're going to focus. Okay, so take a look at this. This is a card of teeth. There's six anterior teeth.
Free seminar.
Can you see just on this one tooth, the right side? So our right side seems to jump off the card a little bit versus the left side. Can you see that? That's this side right here. It seems to have a little bit more life to it. Well, those are Vita teeth. That's already the fluorescence, the opalescence, and the design of the teeth. Okay, couple big things on them. There's no neck on the newer designs after 2000s. There's no neck on the teeth anymore. Anything pre, so from the 50s, has a neck on them. Even the early Vita teeth have a neck on them. We don't put necks on denture teeth anymore because there's no neck on a natural tooth. So I say that because here's a natural tooth. So I had my doctor next door go and show me some real teeth. And so you've got the root structure, there's the neck, there's no neck of the tooth here, pardon me, okay? The enamel has a craze on it. It's not monolithic, it's not monotone in color. And that's the benefit of Vita teeth, is that they have more color to them, more layering to them. And especially now, the Excel teeth, and I'll show you that. So that's number one. You can already see that on a camera where one just seems to have a little bit more life and vitality of how it plays off light. That comes back to the patient not wanting that monotone color, okay? The second thing that I'm gonna show you is 6 anterior teeth. And we're gonna pop that tooth out and you can see that I hollowed it out. Look at that. because that's what we do every day. We grind our fingers off so that we can grind into a denture tooth. The trouble is when we do that, is it takes the color down, and it actually can change the color, especially when we put that over a metal bar or some implant. And that's what they did with Excel denture teeth. So that's the newer version or the more trending version of teeth. So these were designed from in and around the 2000s, or excuse me, 2017. So these are Excel, so there's no neck. The cervical collar of this tooth is a little wider to help hide implant and components from implant dentures. There is less now, you actually have the ability to put less interdental papilla. There's more tooth-to-tooth contact. They made the internal shading more opaque to help hide the metal, but there's still fluorescence and opalescence in this tooth. So that again, we're working more on implants nowadays. So this is up here, more important to hide the metal, and then not, if you have to grind the tooth, it helps retain its color if you have to grind it into more of a shell to make it fit for circumstance. So I wanted to show you those little bits of first what jumps off and what doesn't, and that's the vitality end of things. Again, now grinding the teeth, that shows the layering and then the impregnation of the color and the quality of the color. Okay, and then of a natural tooth, okay. Back in the 50s, and the design theory back then was to have denture teeth that weren't as robust and as thick, with the mindset of it wouldn't rock the denture base as much, but they weren't a true reproduction of a natural tooth. You can see on natural teeth, there's quite a bit of girth to these things, especially on a regular natural. This came out of a female. Okay, whoops, this came out of a female. It's a lower molar. This thing has some girth to it, but you can see that it also has the fossa, and this is what holds and functions with the freedom concept. So we made denture teeth smaller or narrower, thinking that this was going to solve the problem. And then we incorporated working and balancing, and that wasn't it. It was we forgot the freedom, because this thing has freedom and centric in it. So when you look at now setting this up, so I used a little bit of a different color, anterior, posterior, etc., to help just show on a document camera. So these are some of the limitations of video conferencing. So I used some different colors just to show. When you do now a modified lingualized occlusion concept, you're going to see more gapping in it. That's the first thing we teach you, is that it's not knuckle tight. And we're all used to setting up knuckle tight occlusion, especially from Dentsply. And that's not what this is going to look like in the end. We're going to have a little bit of gapping. The reason was, when you looked at the video before that I showed you of natural people eating, there has to be somewhere for the food to go. If it's knuckle tight, the food comes off and the food doesn't stay on the tooth to get chewed. And what happens is it always gets pushed off. You have to let it be able to stay on, and that's why there's gapping here. So what happens is you'll see that there's an overlap here slightly. So that's to prevent the cheek biting. And especially if a patient has a nice solid linea alba, that little line on their cheek, sometimes it's getting nipped a lot. So actually the profile of the denture teeth is such here that helps keep that linea alba out of the way. And there's a little bit of overlap here to help prevent the cheek biting. And then depending on how you set that up, you actually can move this tooth. You can change the axis of it and actually push that alba out of the way more, or the cheek out of the way more, but still keep the fossa and the cusp in the same position, because the tooth has that little bit of freedom. So it actually allows you a little bit more flexibility to deal with. So we have 6 anterior teeth set, and the teeth, like we're used to, they follow a bow and they follow a curvature, upper and lower. The lower is the bowl that holds the food, brings it to the top cusps to get chewed and to get crushed. So that's these, and I'll color them in red for you. These are the main cusps that cut the food and mince the food, and they rest into the fossa. So they rest down into here. And then I have the ability then to go in and alter these. So I can go in and change angulation to what is necessary for that patient. If it's an older patient, know that they probably have some kind of a degraded central nervous system. And so then I can actually change this. So I can bring the tooth down so that it's more hidden and more of a working and balancing concept that we're used to for all these years. But now that we have to switch, I also can move this up and out of the way. And I would do that on a patient that is, say, more elderly. Maybe that patient shakes a little bit and has tremors. They can't reproduce centric as well. So I'm able to now go in and alter the design, or not alter the design, alter the function of this tooth based on that patient. So as a direct health provider, a direct dental provider, that's good for me because then I know the patient that I'm building for. And in the lab, you normally don't get that information, but you know that if you're replacing a really worn down dentition and a worn down denture, their chew cycle is going to be a little bit more oval. And so then it's because it has to, because it's milling to chew. And then on the new denture, if you do that and you put cusps on it, because you will, because it's new teeth, they're going to hit and slide. And it's the hit and slide that causes the problem. So now we can tip some things up out of the way. So what happens is that the denture fits better. It's not going to rock as much in the mouth. It's not going to come back for all the sore spots. And your doctor thinks you're doing a great job setting it up. And these are things that your setup technicians can identify from the work order and from the denture they're replacing and make that call on the workbench with just a little bit of training, maybe a cheat sheet, a little cue card from me about how to do that and how to identify it. So what did Vita teeth bring to the table? Well, zooming back down, this is something that you can show patients, okay? And you can say to them, look, here's a model of lower natural teeth. This is a German tooth of what we want to use for you. Here's a standard North American tooth that we would use for you. And a patient looks at this model and even say your price point, say, is more on this one. And you say even to the doctor, this is going to save you how many adjustments at $200 to $400 an hour. So now what happens is you show this to a patient and they can see this, okay? And they look at the occlusal scheme of this. Believe me, they pick the tooth that looks like a real tooth because now they understand the value of this. So this is a diagnostic tool that you can use for yourself as well as you move forward, okay? One will look more like a tooth and function like a real tooth than the other one. And this is why we're switching. So you can show this to your doctor, you can show it to a patient. And that's really important. So coming back to the setup, okay? So this will function. And yes, it has a working and balancing occlusal design, and it'll work in balance, but this thing also has freedom. And it also can wiggle side to side, so it has a little bit of play. So what we're eliminating is the hit and slide when they chew, and that this functions more because I've given them a helicopter pad to land in. So again, Vita teeth are designed and based from a square tapering ovoid. That's through all of their lines. That hasn't changed. Their beginning lines and what you are finding now that you have to replace in your office is all designed with 1950s theory and 1950s thinking. We're jumping now to more what's trending and what's functioning more. And now what's the benefit to you? Less monotone in color, less monotone in design so it doesn't scream denture. It's going to function better for you because now the newer trending design from Vita has freedom and centric, and freedom is, everybody, good. and it's less stress because now the patient's not coming back with the same repetitive problems and more. And believe me, I'm not banging my head on the wall like I used to, because now I'm able to reproduce it more consistently. And that's what Vita's going to bring to the table here for you. And that's what using their teeth is going to bring to the table. It's not going to scream denture, and the patient's going to chew like they've never chewed before. And you're going to cut the adjustment rate down. That's the beauty of it. Now, the teeth, there's a mold guide. So your reps will have this, and I'm going to show it to you. So there's a mold guide, and inside this mold guide is all of the lines of the teeth, everything. So right from the Excel, which is the new trending, to right back to their 1950s thinking, which I think they put at the back of the book. Yeah, there you go. See, there it is at the back, because it's not 1950 anymore, but they still make them because some people still like them. So you know what? If you like ketchup on your scrambled eggs, well, you like it. It is what it is. That's okay. Use these, but use the Excel lingo form posterior tooth with the freedom. So you can ask for this guide. This has all of the teeth in it for you, and then all of the numbers and measurements for you, okay? And all of it is laid out on a flat curve for you with all of the measurements, and then again, based on the square tapering ovoid approach. See, square tapering ovoid, so it's all there for you. You're just, remember, you're gonna be looking for your 12 Vitas and your 42 Freds like you used to, and well, we're gonna have to learn something new. It's like every time I upgrade my phone, I want it to work like my old one. Well, guess what, Mark? It doesn't. It's called an upgrade for a reason. Well, guess what? You're upgrading teeth, you're upgrading your game. So you're upgrading it whether you're a denturist or a lab tech, you're gonna upgrade it to be better, to push our professions forward, cut adjustments rates down. So this guide you can ask for your rep. I also believe it's online, so you can get it, okay? Vita also has a conversion chart for you. So there's a conversion chart, so don't take pictures because the rep will have this for you. So it's the closest match between colors and shades. So there's this document, they sent it to me. So guess what? Everyone has it. So let me just shine in, see, look at that. So you've got your former Dentsply molds, and now we know what they transpose to from the different lines of Vita teeth. So your reps will have this information to help you navigate the change a little bit. And then we have to train the doctors as well. And even if you're a denturist, it's hard to change habits because we got used to a certain thing. And guess what? It's changed. And so now we are forced to change with it. So I wanted to show you that you have this, you have living mold guides available as well. There's a documents for changing and for conversions to help you narrow it down for you as well. So that's available for you, okay? And then I'm gonna put this back up so you can take another picture of it in case you didn't get it, because now guess what time it is? Well, it's almost quitting time. It's almost time because you guys have been here for like a whole hour almost, so kudos to you. And thank you for investing in your time. And thanks for investing your time, pardon me. And thanks for investing in yourself. And thanks for helping push our professions forward. You guys give a darn. And that's why you're here. And you're trying to help and you're trying to make a difference in someone's life. We don't slap teeth together. We do it right. And we try to make someone eat and help them. And that's our journey. Our journey is trying to make them eat and function. And when you do that, the doctor's happy with your lab and sends you more work, or the patient's happy as if you're a denturist, and they start referring you more patients because you're able to help them. And that's what Vita will bring to the table for you. Vita brings the not monotone color, not monotone design, and function in the posterior teeth. And that's going to make your professional life less stressful. It's going to reduce your stress and that of your patients, especially now in the pandemic where efficiency really matters, because COVID has added that extra time onto our day, the extra workload onto our day. You bring patients back less, it's a big deal. Okay. So that's the information there regarding your territory reps. Now you can take a picture of this. So this is me. So if you have any technical questions, okay, now about chew cycles and about function and how to set this up, then text me or email me, please. And then I'm here to help you as well. So Tori, you can unmute yourself, please.
Hi, Mark,
so
I'm back.
look,
I'm
we're
back.
here
I
to-
was listening to this, always informative, always energetic, always passionate. But
We're
I
here-
love the wiggle, Mark. The wiggle
Eh,
makes it for me,
see?
okay? But
Freedom
I'm
is
not
good,
the only
everybody.
one, Mark. I'm not the only one. There's a lot
So-
of complimentary, Mark, there's a lot of complimentary messages coming from, thank you so much. There's a couple of questions, some comments. Mark, you're great. Any information on setup freedom in centric courses? I guess that would have to come from Denise and then maybe you.
That's got to come from Vita, but here's my comment to that. So if you contact your rep and say, I want a course, or heck, contact a Tori, I want a course, guess what? Well, then we're going to put one on. And we can do it in a pandemic as well, based on travel restrictions and based on provincial or territorial restrictions, but it is possible to do. We're all dressed up in PPE and we'll all look like we're from Star Wars, but we can do it. Yes, there's things we can do to help you. And that's why I've put my name down here and now that of the territorial reps, because we're here to support you. And that's been my journey. And people have supported me and I'm giving back to my profession now by doing this as well and partnering with Vita as an advocate, because I want to give back to a profession that I love. And I want to share some of my successes and my failures with you to make you better and so that you don't get stressed out and walk out of a profession or leave it because you get frustrated with it. So yes, we can do courses. Yes, we can do it, but we have to know there's a demand there. And the only way we're going to know there's a demand is if you let them know there's a demand. So bug a Tori, bug Vita, and yeah, we can do it. We might have to do it virtually, which we can, or we'll try to do it in person as soon as we can. Tori, next question.
Mark, yes, there's a question here, Mark. Is there a significantly greater wear rate for the Vita MFT line as it is fully acrylic tooth?
That is correct. So from a wear perspective, it wears well against, and we're going to pick on Dentsply from an IPN. It actually wears a little better than an IPN because remember, Vita couldn't copy the IPN acrylic. When they came up with MFT, they had to come up with their own acrylic and that couldn't be patented by anyone else. It had to be an open patent. So they had to come up with the design. So yes, we do have wear statistics that show that Vita teeth and especially MFT also wears well in terms of wear life. We are saying that it's a 5-year to 6-year wear life, so you should get slightly longer. When you look at the wear charts compared to other brands, MFT shows quite well against and better than IPN in most wear studies that I've seen from different companies.
Mark, I'll read this comment from
Sure.
Tina Mosley. She says, I use Vita exclusively. They look so real and my patients love their smiles. I can't wait to be able to attend another course in person with Mark. So
Nice.
I thought I would read that one, Mark.
Woot, woot. See, we don't slap teeth together. Woot, woot. Absolutely.
Another question, Mark. How has, it's a business question, that's good. How has the pandemic influenced your business, impacted your business?
Well, it's scared patients for one, because most of them are senior citizens, so they're scared. They're scared to leave their home. So, and maybe let me rephrase as scared. Maybe just they're more tepid to do it, so they only want to go out if they have to. How's it affected my business? It's added 10 to 15 minutes on per patient, so I see less patients a day. I need to be more efficient because the COVID procedures have just added that time in. And you guys, it's exhausting to be in a treatment room. As I'm going over here, my treatment room is in that location. It's exhausting because now listen, we have to be diligent every minute of every day. And you guys, that's almost impossible and tiring. But every person I see, you have to almost think that they have COVID, because you guys, I don't want to transmit this disease and end up killing somebody and a patient of mine. No, thank you. So we're extra diligent. So has it affected me? Yes, I can see less patients a day. My secretary's more tired because now all of the pre-assessment work, all of the extra paperwork that's needed to be done, she's more tired. So we find that we're more tired. So I can see less people per day and we're more tired doing it. That's how it's affected it. The demand is still there and I'm running at a capacity, but I can only increase my capacity if I work longer hours. No, thank you, because I'm really tired at the end of the day because of it. So now I'm going to the efficiencies and less adjustments so the teeth have worked for me. So you got to keep this in mind. If you spend, say, $5 or $10 or $20 more on Vita teeth than you did than you had to do with your old tooth line, you guys, you'll save it in the chair. Morefold, 1,000-fold, you'll save it in the chair. That's why I'm here, to share this with you. So that's how COVID's affected me. Okay, less people, I can see less people per day, and it's wearing all that PPE is exhausting, because in Alberta we have to wear a face shield, a level 3 or an N95 mask, and a tearaway gown. And those things it's tiring, and you have to be careful.
Thank you, Marc, for sharing. A comment that I want to read. This one comes from Denise LaRoque. And she says, the MFT teeth are a highly cross-linked PMMA. There are independent wear studies that exist that show MFT having longer wear than most popular midline teeth. If you're interested in seeing those wear studies, contact your local Vita rep and they will be happy to get you that information to you. And then there's one from James McGuire.
Thanks, Denise.
MFT teeth also has the goodness of easy centric. Freedom of movement benefits as well. So I think, you know, Marc, there are so many complimentaries. And thank you, Marc, for a great section. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's fantastic. So, you know, before I let you go, Marc, why don't you give us one more time that wiggle, that famous, the Wagenseil wiggle. And then we will thank you for a great presentation. And we wish everyone, you know, happy holidays. Stay resilient, okay? Stay resilient. You know, that's the number one thing. Don't lose, you know, usually I'm a very positive guy, Marc. Okay, we worked before, but I tell everybody, please stay negative right now. You know, be negative. You know, because you know, be strong, but remain negative. So I also would like to thank, you know, Denise and the Vita team. I love working with Vita. Okay, so ever since I started this my business at Vita, you know, like, I mean, and they've been always great to me. So I also like to thank them. But Marc, before you say good night and give us the wiggle, and then thank you very much.
Quickly, Tori, thanks for supporting our professions. You rock. Thanks to Vita North America, vitanorthamerica.com. Thank you for supporting us as well. Thanks, everybody. Remember, freedom is good. Remember, your Vita rep's there to help you, and I'm here to help you. And then we can provide you wear statistics, and I can throw charts at you and wear studies. We've got all that information. I didn't want to bore you with that today. I wanted to get to the heart of the matter of why I'm asking you to use them from one practitioner and one technician to another, and the benefits of why you're going to see it, because I'm less stressed, because I can wiggle, because now those teeth have really helped me a lot. And I do admire and respect the company, because I've seen now firsthand the benefit to my patients. So again, thanks to Tori for your kind support in organizing this, and again, for supporting our professions. We really do appreciate it. And again, to Vita and Vita North America. So thank you for supporting our professions. Thanks, everybody. Take care. You need us, contact us, please. We're here to support you and help you.
Yeah, thank you very much to everyone, and have a good holidays. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Ciao. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen.